Hi, I'm Jillian. Welcome to a brand new episode of the Blogger Genius podcast. This has been a very interesting time. Google has been rolling out updates, and many bloggers, niche bloggers who monetize via ads and affiliates have gotten hit. I've been on calls this week with many of you, and one blogger said, Jillian, you have been right. It is time that we have multiple income streams, and I'm now ready to sell digital products. If this is you, get on a free 20-minute call with me where I will help you come up with your digital product strategy and share best practices on how others are finding success. To book your call, just go to milotree.com, our homepage, scroll down, and you'll see a link to my calendar. And please remember, the one constant in building online businesses is change. So book your free call now. I'm excited to show you a whole new way to monetize.
Welcome to the Blogger Genius podcast, brought to you by MiloTree. Here's your host, Jillian Leslie.
Hello and welcome back to the show. I have a must-listen episode today. I brought back my friend, Steve Wiideman. He's an SEO guru to talk about what's happened with Google, all the updates, how to think about your business today, and how to think about AI going forward. He was here last talking about AI, and you guys all really liked that episode. Now he's giving practical tips on building businesses in 2024, and the landscape is different. It's no longer about just getting Google to send traffic to your blog and you monetize that traffic. It is now almost like a 360 view of your business. Your blog is a piece of it, but you are no longer just a blogger. Steve shares strategies on what to do, how to think about your blog if you've gotten hit by one of these Google updates. Really, we talk about the fact that now everybody needs multiple ways to drive traffic to our sites and multiple ways to monetize. We also talk about AI. I love hearing Steve's prognostications. Really, what I love is his positive view of the future. So if you need a dose of positivity and some new ideas about building your business, this is the episode for you. So without further delay, here is my interview with Steve Wiideman. Steve, welcome back to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm glad to be back and excited to nerd out with you a little bit on all the cool things happening in digital marketing.
So before I said, let's start, we've been just talking and talking. And then all of a sudden I realized wait, we've got to get into this because there is so much to catch up on. And I love that you are so willing to come back to discuss all of these changes because I think things are changing even faster.
Yes, and it's exciting and it's fun for us digital marketers to discover and explore the way that people are using the web and how we can help our clients make sure that they're still getting business from people who are searching for what they offer.
Now, the thing that I shared with you is I get on calls with bloggers all the time, and I'm noticing a bunch of them freaking out because these new Google updates have literally cut them off at the knees. They're talking about losing something like 70, 80, 90% of their traffic overnight. And all of a sudden, most of these bloggers are monetizing via ads on their site from services like Raptive or Mediavine. And seeing these tremendous drops is very devastating. And so we've been talking about are these changes here to stay? Or is this Google playing around and trying new things? And kind of what is the future for the, let's say, food blogger or DIY blogger or travel blogger? And what would you say to that?
I think it's a two-part question. Part one relates to systems and algorithms and how search continues to evolve. And you're right, they are doing a lot of testing. I think the other part kind of goes back to the story you might have heard about the big SEO heist that happened in 2023, where a site that used to get just hundreds of thousands of visits, somebody basically crawled their sitemap, the list of pages they have on their website, and they asked AI to regenerate better content than what was already on each of those pages for their own website. So they basically took every single page, that was on that site, used AI to create content, and that ability, that SEO heist ability, scares Google quite a bit because now they're threatened with a system that's I don't know, a little bit scary, a little bit crazy. And what we've noticed since the latest update that happened earlier here in Q1 is a lot of those SEO heisting sites that were highly AI generated just boom, lost a lot of their content. Now, I'm not blaming the bloggers for using AI content or that their competitors might have been hijacking the keywords that they're trying to rank for in their URLs by creating AI content. But I can tell you that I still stand by my favorite quote by Jim Rohn that you don't have to do extraordinary things to be successful. You only have to do ordinary things extraordinarily well. So I would encourage first a gut check on our process. Are we maybe using too much AI content and not providing enough unique firsthand experience, helpful content on our pages? Can we study the top results and compare our pages? Maybe even run some surveys and polls. Which page is most helpful and why? And recalibrate our strategy to make sure that our pages are still the most helpful. And of course, we can use AI to help with ideas and brainstorming inspiration. But I think in terms of the shift, yeah, there's not going to be any stop to how search results are changing, and we need to not just evolve our strategy while we keep doing it and don't throw it away, but we also need to broaden our approach to digital marketing to not be myopic around a Google web search. Before we started recording, we started talking a little bit about Google Discover and TikTok and Reels and Shorts, all that short form media content that can be optimized for people who are scrolling their timeline with a little bit of planning, a little bit of page optimization to create some really good storytelling and visuals and video type content for that generation that's starting to use Google a little bit less and searching YouTube and TikTok for the type of content that they're looking for. So I think we continue with the creation of our blog content, but evolve it to make sure that we're including all the things that we know can play a role in our visibility in a universal search result, such as including FAQs on the page, such as structuring the code in a way that Google can understand the meaning of words that we're using a little bit better, to make sure that we're diversifying our media content and using our own images, not stock video and stock images, but actually creating our own and showing firsthand experience by using words like I and me
Mm.
and showing a level of expertise that AI just could never do, right? So I
So,
think I think that's kind of that mindset we need to start shifting toward.
do you think keyword research as the main way of being a successful blogger is no longer the number one strategy? Is that being phased out? It felt like for a blogger, what you
Mhm.
needed to do was understand keyword research, understand the idea of low competition keywords, understand just how Google worked. And even though this sounds negative, I don't mean it that way, but like you could almost gamify Google to your advantage. And even though you're supposed to be writing for real people, at the end of the day, if you wanted your post to rank, you also were probably number one writing with thinking about SEO, thinking about search intent, those kinds of things. And is that no longer where you would be focused?
I would still make keyword research my absolute most important first step in any inbound marketing campaign. If not for the content on the website, for the content marketing calendar of what we plan to publish across the web and through the different um, places that people find our content like TikTok and Instagram and YouTube and so forth. So I would still create that as the foundation. In fact, this morning I delivered a taxonomy plan to one of our clients that really broke down all the different ways that people are searching for and will find their content. And the next step with that maybe the bloggers and folks that have been impacted by search rankings would start to migrate into is really looking at what types of content we need to have on that page to solve for the user intents. So we look at the competitors and their top pages and their top traffic driving pages. We do some searches for the keywords that we want to appear for, and we really study and analyze the top search results to get an idea of the types of content and needs and intents that the users are looking for, so that we can evolve our page to not just match the keywords, which you can still do in Google. There's actually now a filter you could use. You can just say, show me based on the keyword, not based on what you think I'm looking for. So yeah, I would say the shift that needs to focus while we still keyword research number one to how we use those keywords to develop and evolve our holistic marketing plan, not just our blog posts.
Okay, so this just, I'm a blogger, I've lost 70% of my Google traffic. Is that coming back?
It can if we address the content that lost the traffic. So go into your analytics, look at those pages that drove the most amount of traffic to the site. Start there, do that competitive analysis, look at what's showing up in the search results, study the headings and subheadings and images and other focal points of the pages that are now outranking you to make sure that we've created something even better. And then take a look at all the different places that our users are surfing and using. Like I said, social networks being number one, TikTok. I think there's still some room for Facebook. I know there's a lot of folks that look at Facebook like there's a stigma to it, but I'm seeing a lot of interactions and people sharing content. Even this morning, some of my peers were sharing some photos that were taken at PubCon, on Facebook. So I would look at all of those different places where we can publish content, and optimize our content to appear in the streams for those folks that are using the streams of short form video and Google Discover type content. So that's kind of the approach or the mindset that I would take as it relates to what's next once we've finished our keyword research. Let's start optimizing our content to appear in all of those places. But don't just guess at what you think your customers are going to want. Do those searches. Search TikTok, search Instagram. Look at the content that's coming up. What's the music, in the background on TikTok? What's the narrative? What are the hashtags that are being used? Let's take the top 5 or 10 results and build something of our own that encompasses those same focal points, but do a better job of it. And let's do something the competitors aren't, especially on those networks, is let's get other influencers involved in that process so that you can piggyback on their influence a bit and allow you to start capturing larger audiences. So many people just push content out there that's keyword optimized, and there's crickets. But if you get other influencers involved to participate, and you've seen celebrities now working with influencers in these clips as a way, again, for each of them to expand their influence and expand their reach for that type of content. So I think that needs to be part of the strategy. Is let's not just push really good content. Let's get other influencers, maybe in our industry or a similar vertical, to participate in it, so that we're growing on each other's influence and again, growing our reach overall.
So in terms of monetization, then, if let's say I've been relying on an ad network like Raptive or Mediavine to make me money, I
Sure.
feel like what you're saying is you got to start thinking not just diversifying where people are finding your content, but also how you are monetizing it. Because we were talking about your daughter,
Yeah.
and I was saying that one of the most successful blog niches is food blogging. And you were just
Yeah.
sharing about where she's finding recipes.
Yeah. Chat GPT.
So she is
Yep. She go to
literally
Chat.
just typing in a query into Chat GPT, getting a
She has
recipe,
the
and then
Chat GPT app on her phone, and she'll start there and jump right into give me a recipe for whatever. And sometimes Chat GPT will spit back a good recipe, and then a link to view more. In a lot of cases, she'll actually click those links because she knows there might be a video or something to watch to give her more context, but sometimes not. Sometimes in those cases, potential food bloggers just lost, a visit because she decided to get a quick answer on ChatGPT, which means that if recipes are going to be something where we lose some traffic, let's find other topics and things that are interesting to our customers where they will go to a search. And again, it doesn't have to be Google, and provide content that guides them, to subscribe and see more of our content because the social networks algorithms thinks that our content's more helpful to them. So they'll see us more often in their in their streams as they're flicking through, whether it's Google Discover or Reels or Shorts, etc.
And I feel like content in and of itself is becoming commoditized because it could be I go to this blog for this recipe or I go to ChatGPT and I'm kind of
Right.
indifferent. Therefore, what is the differentiator? I'm going to argue it becomes you. Because
I
what
think
is
for sure. We talked about this a little bit, is using more terms like I and me and things like that in your content so that you're really personalizing it around, your experience with whatever that topic happens to be, for sure. I would 100% agree with that. But you mentioned the paid advertising side. It's amazing to me how few digital marketing folks will marry the data between the two, using
explain?
your organic data to influence your paid search and paid advertising, and then using your paid advertising data to better influence, your organic strategy. I rarely see those two things happening, and both of them play together so well, that it's sad that more marketers don't use both data points to help influence one and the other.
Could you break that down?
Sure. Well, when I was at Disney, we had in our monthly report, we would have a page that would show our top 50 search terms from paid search right next to our top 50 search terms from organic. And we'd look at both of them and say, hey, there's some gaps here in organic where we can borrow from what's working really well in paid and optimize content for organic and get, double exposure in a search result. And the organic side, there's a lot of really top performing pages that we're not creating ad groups for in our paid search strategy. Or we learn a little bit more about our audience demographic from paid search because we get some of that third-party data, that we might not be able to get from organic. And then we tailor that toward the voice and the narrative of the content so that we're talking to the right demographic based on what we learned from our paid search third-party data. So I think that's again just another place to explore new opportunities of where we can improve both our paid and our organic strategies.
And that makes a lot of sense. What I hear you saying, I feel like there's a theme, and that is no one strategy. You've got to be looking for the opportunities. And this is something that I always say is when there is change, most people will freak out. Most people will either freak out and become paralyzed. They
Mhm.
will live in denial that this really isn't happening and somehow it's just going to correct itself if I just hang in there long enough. Um, or they get angry and like give up. But what
Sure.
you seem to be saying is you've got to now become more creative. So when you say start with keyword research, it's not just for Google anymore. It's for TikTok. It's for Instagram. It's for, and we didn't even talk about yet, Reddit,
Google Discover,
Quora,
Reddit, yeah,
Google Discover. And now it's kind of finding these different places
right.
to test to see, can I get some traction here? Can I get some traction here? And that seems to be what you are saying.
Yep, 100%. And it's going to continue to change and evolve. If generative AI rolls out from Google Labs into web search, which doesn't look like it's going to happen for a while, but if it does, there's a whole shift in the appearance of a search result, and we adapt to that. So one thing you could do to feel less concerned or worried is once a month do a sort of a roundtable with some of your favorite marketing people and ask them where are the top platforms I should be putting my time and energy into right now. Continue to use Google Trends and watch where people are interacting and what they're looking for. And just spending a few minutes a month just keeping up with the changes and trends and things that are happening. Again, I mentioned I use a tool called Feedly to follow the latest in our industry and in some of the niches such as local search and ecom. If you want to subscribe to some of the sites that are in your industry that are really important, every morning it's like reading the newspaper. You see this little Feedly article list that kind of talks about all the things that are happening and that are trending, so that those words can stay top of mind for you and your focus continue to shift. But you also reminded me of something I built. It was back in 2010. It was something, it was like an internal tool I called a tactic utilization table. And having a tactic utilization table basically involves having a column for, well, having a section of columns for every medium, from organic to paid to email to referral to affiliates. All of those different ways that we're going to drive traffic will have a group of rows of columns, and in each of those columns we'll have different publishers and different strategies that play a role in that particular discipline of digital marketing. And what you do is you create a row that has a 1 to 10 score for each of those columns. And then you go out to an expert and you say, hey, could you give me an audit of how I'm doing with Google Ads? Could you give me an audit of how I'm doing with my organic search strategy in these different columns, from tech to content to off-page to local, whatever your particular e-business model happens to be. And then you get a final score. You tally that up at the end. You're like, wow, I'm only 13% utilized of all the different marketing capabilities that we can invoke into our campaign strategy. And then you start working through each one. You get your teams, to continue putting a plan together, tracking their progress every year. At the end of the year, you go back, you do your audit again. Hey, we're at 26%. That's phenomenal. We've doubled, our utilization of all these different vehicles, in our marketing. Let's set a goal for next year to get up to 35. And then in 10 years, maybe you're 80% utilized. You've maxed out everything you could possibly do with native and paid search and so forth. And all you're really doing is just recalibrating and adjusting based on, the competitive landscape. So I think that might be something to give, some peace of mind for all the different things you could be doing and all the different publishers where we could be pushing our content out to, and having somebody who's an expert in each of those. One example for B2B is LinkedIn, and so when we decided, hey, LinkedIn's a bit an important place for us, we reached out to Judy Fox, who's an expert in LinkedIn and understands the LinkedIn algorithm. We did some training with her. We built a process, and it's repeatable, and we're in there as much as we can, trying to improve our visibility for people who are searching for SEO related content and our authority on the topic of SEO in LinkedIn by, again, going to an expert. And that LinkedIn has a column that's right there, under the section of referral traffic, borderlining social media, and and it's making a difference. We get leads, we get clients from it, and we continue to build our brand awareness as people are searching for content that we publish on that platform.
As you can hear in this episode, the world is changing. We need to monetize in new ways. I have the perfect way for you to start. It is by creating an easy ebook. And now with AI, there's no reason not to do this. In fact, I have a freebie with the 13 AI prompts you need to write an entire ebook in under 3 hours. To grab this freebie, go to milotree.com/ebook prompts. That's milotree.com/ebook, EBOOK prompts, PROMPTS. Snag it today. What are you waiting for? And now back to the show. Now you came on my podcast, gosh, I don't even know what time, when, but you talked about AI and you blew people away. I heard that was one of my most vocal episodes, meaning people were like, whoa, he was
Awesome.
Amazing. And you were doing it to me during the episode. I was saying, God, you're blowing my mind. You're blowing my mind. So now that we're here in this moment in March, I want to ask you what you are seeing like you mentioned generative AI, and can you explain what that is? And can you explain? I feel like you are really good at looking
Sure.
out into the future and you're not freaking out. So you're not putting this lens of fear and panic on
Right.
that lens. And therefore, I feel like you have more clear eyes. Can you explain what generative AI is and
Sure.
where we're going when it comes to AI?
Course. Well, so this all started with these large language models that were created by folks like OpenAI and of course Google jumping into the mix. There's Claude. What they were doing was building a way um, for computers basically to study information that they fed it, and then they said, hey, based on everything that we've fed you, let's create a way that we can interact with the artificial intelligence where they can communicate the same way we do as humans. Ergo, the generative AI part of it. The language model itself is just a big database of everything they've fed it with all of its filters for safety and privacy, which, of course, there's ways to jailbreak and go around it, which is fun but scary at the same time. And then there's the actual generative AI place where we can interact with that knowledge base as much as we're able to. And you'll have noticed in Chat GPT a while ago, if you would have asked a question about something that's going on today, it would say, I apologize, but my database only goes up to this date. And now they're adding GPTs and extensions in ways that you can still get more real-time data while also leveraging the amount of information it's already got in its system. Whereas Gemini, Google's version, their generative AI is real time. And Copilot and Bing is trying to be a little bit more like that as well, incorporating both the ChatGPT information it has while also using its web search results to create more of a real-time experience as you're interacting. And it's interesting to watch too, because it's literally putting one word at a time into its answer and response, again based on the database that it has and the magic of how it's trying to communicate like a human with you. And it can be customized. You can customize it to speak with you in a different tone, a different
Right.
character, persona, so that you can interact with it in a way that's more comfortable for you. You can even give it
Like
its own name. I call mine Mr. Wizard from Neo, so from Matrix, just for fun. So I'll ask a question like, Mr. Wizard, tell me how to do such and such, so that it can kind of become your personal assistant. Now,
that's
right
what,
now, the way that we're
wait, sorry,
using
that's what I just wanted to interrupt for 1 second because that's what I think of when I think of generative AI. When I think
yeah,
about ChatGPT and it's like, hey, it feels more like a tool. Whereas I think of
uh,
generative AI as more like my own personal assistant that knows
yeah,
what Jillian wants, that is like literally sitting next to me in
right,
whatever I'm doing, knows my tastes, knows so much, and then can be interacting with me in a much
mm,
more personal way. And
right,
almost like it
and
will
it,
go with me around the internet, it'll go with me wherever I go.
uh,
A little bit like the movie Her.
yeah, yeah, it's getting there. We're really close, and every major company who's getting involved in it's figuring out different ways that we can harness it. The big thing right now is, of course, AI video and AI images, and some scrutiny on how Google was using people, as results that got a little bit nerve-wracking, I think, and they had to scale back on it. So you can't really do people in Gemini right now. But it's gone beyond just getting answers and ideas and solutions and directions to now being able to actually take action. Gemini, for example, can add something to your Google Calendar. It can help schedule emails. It can, it and its Duet extension in Workspace now, you can use AI to help build presentations and create images and backgrounds and designs and graphics using AI for your slideshow presentation. So the AI has gone from just being give me an answer, a solution, let's talk, let's chat till 3 in the morning, like people were doing when it first started, to now let's build something together. Let's create something and take action on it. Let's create a budget. Let's organize things. Let's build tables and let me upload a spreadsheet and have you analyze it and tell me the answers that I'm looking for without me having to use a bunch of Excel formulas and figure it out on my own. So there's a lot more that these assistant type technologies are doing that, we couldn't do when it first came out, when it was just more of a, conversation, if you will.
And how will this affect our businesses online?
Oh, it already has. I mean, the way that customer service works now, I think you're seeing a lot more AI chatbots on websites, and they're getting better. We used to see people using tools like Mobile Monkey and other things to try to create, you know, um,
Answers, like canned
yeah,
answers. Yeah.
but now you can feed your AI your whole knowledge base of information and allow it to have more realistic human-like conversations with visitors. We can use AI to analyze marketing data and help us make decisions that might have taken us weeks to study and analyze. Now we can get that information back in moments. From a content standpoint, as long as we've fed it the right input from what we're looking for, it can help us generate a table of contents and a whole construct of a really effective page of content, that we want to write ourselves, not have it write it. We could also, automate a lot of, like, if you've got a website with 4,000 pages and you've never done any SEO on it, and all the page titles and descriptions are just product name dash category dash brand name across your entire website, you can now use AI and something like Chat GPT for Sheets. I think it's just GPT for Sheets. And you can basically create a workflow that goes through and automatically generates ideas for titles and meta descriptions, that's fed from the pages themselves that are unique to that page, without having to manually go row by row by row and edit 2,000 pages on your website. So you can do a lot more now, and automate a lot of the processes thanks to, the way that technology continues to evolve.
And are you finding this as exciting as you did on our last call?
Oh, more so. I mean, we're already starting to spend more time studying the algorithms of TikTok and looking at YouTube and their shorts and the viral impact of it versus normal videos and normal website content. It's so exciting that even earlier this morning we're on a call with a client and they were talking about their content marketing strategy as it related to social, and it got argumental. You had the person who was the expert in it, who understood algorithms and trends and patterns and how we produce content that aligns with what people are looking for right now, and the traditional business owner who was like, no, we need to stick to the boring kind of stale narrative of our business and what we want to do. And it's so interesting to watch the interaction between business and marketing teams that are really exploring the fast moving train of digital marketing platforms and social media and inbound marketing in general.
So wait, if
Um,
I want to understand the TikTok algorithm, how
mhm.
am I going? I mean, I don't know if I could do it as a one person operation. How am I
Sure.
going to use AI to do that? To
So I think
understand
I think this.
which, like what trends and what kind of hooks and what kind
Mhm.
of content will get people's attention? How am I going to do that?
Of course. So there's two different approaches there, right? The first approach is don't reinvent the wheel. You don't need to go and study, on your own when there's already so much content available on TikTok and YouTube around their algorithms. You could even do a search for SEO for TikTok and find thousands of pages of people sharing what they've learned. And then you aggregate that information and start testing each of those different suggestions into your own plan. The other
Mhm.
part of it is just going out there yourself and looking at it. I've kind of hacked mine to be only travel information, right? And so when I'm like, hey, check out TikTok, and I hand the phone over to my wife, my kid's like, you're just gonna let her see what's on your TikTok stream? I'm like, well, yeah, what would be on it that she wouldn't want to see? And of course you get all sorts of really random weird stuff that shows up on mine. It's 100% travel content. And she's like, how'd you do that? And I'm like, because I understood what I needed to see and what I wanted to do. I started to hit not relevant to me, didn't like the brand, didn't like the creator. I liked, commented, shared, and interacted with travel content. I did that over the course of a 30-day period, and now all I see is travel content. So now thinking of what I did as a user and reverse engineering it as a marketer, right? It's not too hard to figure out, what types of content really stood out, what focal points, what sounds, and the importance of sounds. And you can go to the TikTok ad creator and it'll suggest specific sounds that you can add to your content. Find those that are trending, throw that on your content, run a test, add the tags that correspond to the search terms you want to rank for, maybe tag or mention some of the other content creators that are in that industry creating similar content, so that you're aligned and you're putting yourself in that sort of semantic web. And then you test and you watch how users interact. Maybe even go back to some of your existing followers and say, hey, I'd love to get your feedback on this TikTok post. What'd you think? How can we make it better? What would you like to see more of? Ask your customers, what kind of things they'd like to see. Throw it out there and say, how about now? And just continue down that path until you get, wow, this is amazing. You guys did an incredible job. Perfect. Now let's rinse and repeat and then continue multivariate testing.
Wow. Wow. I'm so happy that I get to talk to you because you always put this positive spin on everything. Again, where we started was me saying I'm on call after call with
Mhm.
bloggers who are watching their businesses, what I would in their minds crumble.
Yeah.
And I am saying to them, no, there's a whole new way of thinking about your business. I believe it's pivoting to you, not using all of your strategies,
Yeah.
but now it's no longer just this kind of SEO cranking out content for Google where
Mhm.
you know how to win with that algorithm. You're saying, no, no, broaden, like step back, open
Yeah.
your aperture. That's what I'm saying as well. Okay, you've been able to make money this way. What else can you offer, especially when it comes to you? But bolstering yourself, your brand, using all of your strategies.
Absolutely. And start with just one piece of content and use that one piece of content to see what you can do and then rinse and repeat. You don't have to try to tackle everything at once. Just pick one really important piece of content that might have lost some traffic. Start with having an SEO review of the page. Go to a UX expert and have them take a look at the page. Go to a brand expert and have them take a look at the page. Take all that feedback, rebuild it, and then go out to all those different places we mentioned, the Reddits, the Quoras, the Mediums, the social media websites, and push out some content that corresponds to it and mentioning link in bio or link in description to get them back to the page itself. And then measure the difference 30, 60, 90 days later and see if you're able to resurrect that content. And if you were, then rinse and repeat and continue down the line based on the pages that used to generate the most traffic for you.
That's a very smart strategy. Before we go, though, I do want to ask you just about Reddit and Quora and Weather and
Sure.
Medium. Like these are platforms that I feel like ebb and flow or have been ebbing and flowing. And now I feel like they are right in the spotlight because Google feels like that is human centered content and is
Mhm.
showing it in search results. Is there a strategy of posting on Reddit and Quora and Medium and places like that? Where are you seeing people get
Sure.
traction?
Yeah, just like we mentioned before, there's a lot of tutorials on SEO for and each of those different platforms, SEO for Medium, SEO for Reddit. So you can aggregate a lot of different ideas and do some testing yourselves. But I mean, the obvious focal points are going to be around. My light died over here. Obvious focal points are going to be around the title of the thread and making sure those search terms are there. Solving problems, whether you're using answer the public or another question based keyword tool and looking for those questions, maybe even picking up Google alerts for them, so that when somebody does ask a question, Reddit, Quora or otherwise, you get a notification and can jump
Mm.
out there and drop your answer in. And if you're smart, your answer is going to start with that short summary that's at the top of the page on your website so that you get that beautiful feature snippet in the search results, which you might see in the generative AI in Google Labs, or if you've got it on your phone as well. So I would say that's probably for Reddit, Medium, and so forth. Is what I would do is again pick up those alerts, be one of the first to answer, give absolutely your best feedback, and and blow that thing up so that nobody can compare to it. And I did a post.
And link to your
Yeah,
blog where you're answering
if
that
if you
question
can.
as
So
well.
the link to the like, you have to be careful because Reddit doesn't like SEOs. In fact, they'll immediately like disavow you. So I'd be careful linking right away in Reddit. I think it's okay to say, yeah, let me know if you want more info on this. I have a page. That way you're not just dropping links. Reddit's just hate SEOs. So, again, I did a post, I think it was on the Moz website years ago, and they had the community around boilerplate SEO strategy. And I gave everything, screenshots, examples, where I would start, step by steps, and I made it super easy for someone to read who was putting together a strategy. And that page dominated for search terms that even my own website couldn't rank for because it had such great authority. So I think that Barnacle SEO strategy of, hey, if we can't beat Reddit and Quora and Medium, let's make sure we at least have a voice on those sites, and let's make sure that our brand and the keywords that we want to become semantic to are used, within each of those different places that we post. And let's make sure if we do have a page on our website around that topic, that we take the short summary from that page that's at the top of the page and use that as what we start with, so that Google crawls the web and sees that instance of that answer across the web and might decide that our answer is the best based on how often they see it.
Oh, that's so interesting. Oh my God. What I'm
Something to think
hearing
about.
again, this is a very granular strategy. I like your
Right.
advice. Start somewhere. Start
Right.
with one piece of content and optimize it and learn and figure it out and test it on different platforms, because otherwise this, is infinite. But
Yeah.
that you like get traction and then you start drilling down or
Mhm.
expanding slowly from that.
Right. And measuring everything. I mean, everything that you do, put a note in uh, whether you're using software or just using a Google Sheet, put a note of when you made the change, and then measure the difference, and really put a lot of detail into what you did so that you can learn from it and just continue to evolve. But the best way is not to try to take everything on yourself. Get with those experts in each of those different platforms and those different industries who have proven results, that don't just go out and promote videos of how great they are, but actually have proven results of what they've been able to accomplish for their clients, and get them to help you to craft the strategy so that you're not having to relearn something that took them 10 years to do. Well, or in today's time, more like 2 years to learn. Right. So
Okay, Steve, can I have you back in a couple months so that we
anytime,
can do one of these powwows again?
of course.
I learned so much from you, and I think your advice, and again, I love that you're just super excited about this and that you have interesting ways of, again, opening the aperture so that you can see your business in a more holistic way.
I love it. I'm happy to help, and I love talking tech. So anytime you want to talk about travel or technology, I'm all yours.
So, Steve, if people have questions for you and want to reach out to you, where should they go?
Sure. We're all over the web. If it's, even if it's not me, if it's someone here on the team, we're just Wiideman on all social, Wiideman. If you want to just talk to me, my handle's usually SEO Steve everywhere. So you can find me across all the socials there. Or you can just shoot me an email, just steve@wiedemann.com. And, I try to get back to everyone. I'm kind of a zero inbox guy. So, happy to answer any questions or at least guide you to, a resource to help.
Well, I just have to say, Steve, thank you so much again for your time and thank you for coming back on the show.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
I hope you guys like this episode. I love when Steve comes on the show because he expands the way I think about building businesses right now. Things are definitely changing, and we all need to stay up on those changes. Really, it is about expanding your reach, driving traffic in new ways, monetizing in new ways, and leaning into you, your personal expertise. If you are ready to start selling your knowledge through digital products, get on a free 20-minute call with me. Just go to milotree.com. You'll see a link to my calendar. Come talk to me because I know that these are big concepts. These are big changes. This feels scary. So let me give you an action plan where it won't feel as overwhelming. Now, if you're ready to jump into selling products, sign up for MiloTree Cart. We're selling it right now for a lifetime deal of $349 with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So there's no risk, but please don't be left behind. This is the direction you want to be moving in. And I will see you here again next week.